Hey, Leaf fans, what's up? Welcome to episode 3 of our podcast. We still haven't found a name for it yet, but we're working on it. Addie and I will be reviewing game 1, 2, and 3, and then we're going to be discussing game 4 tonight. So, I believe the last time we talked, the last video we uploaded, we were talking about game 1 predictions, and all that got blown out the window with what happened with Tavares. So, yeah, overall, game 1, what were your thoughts?
Game one, I honestly, after the incident, I fully expected that the Leafs just lost momentum in the game, and and you expect that to happen. So I wasn't too disappointed.
Yeah,
Obviously it was sad that we lost one of our, our he's our captain, right? So
yeah.
you don't like
Captain,
to see
leader, yeah,
anybody go through that type of stuff. So it was good that a lot of the players care about their captain, and so is their GM. So
for sure.
it was tough to watch, but yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
I was able
I
to
could
get over it.
barely pay attention to what was going on in the game. I was so like, on social media and I was trying to see what
Mhm.
people were posting and uh and it's, Toronto is what it is with its media, but like, that Toronto Sun front page the next day and
Oh man,
Kyle Dubas called it out too. I mean, like, come on.
it that kind of stuff is horrible to see. Like you're a news article. Like honestly, who reads the news anymore? Like
No, I
from
mean
a
you can get the
newspaper.
Star and the Sun in a digital edition now, and everybody gets it like
Yeah,
digitally, right? But
but like even then, like what are you trying to prove? To like
just clicks,
come
man,
up with
just
that
clicks.
type of article.
Yeah, they're so desperate. The Sun's
Yeah.
the Sun's been firing people for a long time, and they're losing money and they're losing subscriptions and all that stuff.
Mhm.
I mean, it is what it
It's
is,
like
but
Steve Simmons of articles. Yeah,
I can't
they're
really
known
blame the
to
columnists for
have that type of stuff.
yeah. I mean, the
Yeah.
columns are what they are, and you can go after the columnists for that, but in terms of the front page, it's just the editor, and I'm glad Carl Dubas said something because it's like, on social media you see it all the time. Players or their wives posting pictures of their kids watching Daddy play on TV, and it's like, oh
Mhm.
look, Daddy scored a goal, and look, Daddy did this, and when you see something like that, all I thought about is this guy's got two young boys. One's old enough to walk around and watch TV, and
Yeah.
then his wife's watching that. His family in Toronto's watching that. And Captain Crunched is all you can come up with. It's so
Yes.
heartless, man. It's so
Yeah, that's
heartless.
heartless.
You can tell like Austin Matthews' demeanor when Steve Simmons asked the question in the post game.
Oh, I love to like the guy was so pissed, and like the way he said it too. He definitely let up on Steve there on that question.
Oh yeah.
But that's the type of stuff you want to see players stand up for.
That's
Like you got
leadership,
to
man.
stand up
That's
for yourself.
leadership, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like it's one of
So
those things that like Babcock talked about at the very beginning. He's like, it's hard to play here, but there's gonna come a time where it won't be because you're good and you're winning, and you have to create that culture. And I think the Leafs are at that point where they can start pushing back as players and general managers and presidents like Shanahan. They can start pushing back a little bit because it's like, listen, we're good. You don't have to tell me if I'm good or bad. I know what I am. So now it's if you're stupid in the newspaper, we get to call you out.
absolutely, yeah.
But yeah, man, it's one of those situations. Game 1 was tough to watch. I could barely concentrate on it. All I could do was think about Tavares and
Yeah.
all the different combinations. Like, does Kerfoot become center? Like, who's gonna play center? What's gonna happen? Is Galchenyuk can play center? And that's all that kept going through my head, and I couldn't even pay attention to what was on TV.
Yeah, same. I think those what's going through everyone's mind is like, who's going to replace Tavares? How do you replace that type of player in your lineup, right? Like, and
Yeah,
Tavares has been like really good as of recent, like the last 20 some odd
man,
games.
he was hot just
He's
like
been lighting
Nylander
up.
coming into the playoffs.
Yeah. So it's tough situation. Hoping he gets better. Um, but yeah, no. that game, it was a close game. Campbell, Price were going off,
Yeah, it
making
was a close game,
crazy
very
saves.
emotional. Price made some good saves. And,
Mm.
Montreal
But it's
Canadiens fans coming at me on Twitter. Like they, they thought,
like it
the outcome of that game was going to be the outcome of the series, and then they got so mad after game two. They're like, the Leafs
it's the
top line
refs.
is the Leafs top line is the three refs, and they were so pissed off at the refs that game.
Look, what do you expect Toronto to do? Like, they're not taking dumb penalties. I mean, game one they did take like what, three delayed game penalties, but
And that really
that's
killed their
Toronto's fault.
momentum in that game. It really
You
killed
you
their
can't
momentum.
you can't blame the refs on that, and nobody was.
Yeah.
And same thing happens to the Habs. I think Habs take a delay of game penalty in game two, and
Well, that review was so stupid. What were
oh,
you
that
reviewing on that Sandine
goaltender
goal?
interference.
You see, that Bergevin meme is going to be the
Bergevin was
greatest meme in the history of memes.
See, that's the thing that I dislike about Bergevin. He doesn't trust his coach enough to, make a call. Like he had to tell
If he trusted
Ducharme,
the coach, he
like,
wouldn't be calling him interim.
and that's the thing. Like, I don't think Ducharme would have challenged that because that's a clear goal. There's no interference on that. And like, the fact that,
It reeked of desperation. The Leafs were
yeah,
really piling it on, and they just
mhm,
had multiple power plays in a row, and then all of a sudden they come back with that hammer of a shot from Sandine, and it
yeah,
just reeked of desperation. They're like, we got to do something. We got to change this. Like,
and
and
you could see the momentum shift from the Habs to the Leafs
oh yeah,
right after
oh
those power plays
yeah.
for the Leafs. It just after that call, everyone was on the Leafs just hammering it out. They were
Just
going off.
I don't know why you would give the Leafs the third straight power play after that. Like, they
Mhm.
just scored. They have all the momentum. Why would you risk it on something that close? But the complaining was, it was weird. Like Kotkaniemi after the game, he's like, "Oh, I'm not allowed to say anything, or I'm gonna get fined. So I'm just gonna keep my mouth shut." Bro, you smashed your stick in half over the guy's shoulder. That's not an instant penalty. Like, I don't
I
understand why he was so upset.
I I
You
think it was
cross-checked the
game.
guy.
I think it was game two where Kotkaniemi scored. Yeah. So I don't know if you remember. Right after Kotkaniemi scored, he put up the four. Like, what was he trying to do there? Was he
No,
thinking Habs are going to
it's the
take?
four guys up there.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah, it's the four guys that were up in the press box that were the healthy scratches.
Okay. Because I thought he was referring to more like, oh, four as in we're gonna win in four games. I'm like, nah, man, you not
It
do
was a
that.
stupid thing to do. The guy hadn't scored in 27 regular season games. That puck went off three skates. It was bouncing around. He just happened to find it and tapped it into the net. That
Hmm.
celebration was so egregious. I'm pretty sure it pushed the Leafs over the line. They're like, we got to go downhill. Like, the ice is going to be tilted like this, and we're just going to go at them. I'm sure
Yeah,
they got so pissed off over that.
and that's what the Leafs gotta. They're good at converting on these type of chances. Like, man, they've really changed the momentum of that game. Like that's what you love to see.
Yeah, I mean, just that first goal by Jason Spezza really ignited the Leafs. Just the way he scored. And then you can see him and Simmons talking it over on the bench, and he's like,
It's
"I
like,
know I shouldn't have taken it from you, but I did." Because
I mean, at least he got the goal. If he didn't, I'm just like, maybe
yeah, if he would have like
Spezza
rang it
shouldn't.
off the post or something, Simmons is like, "You owe me a dinner, like a steak dinner."
Or something.
He's like, "I would have
Yeah,
probably scored."
yeah.
Yeah, but
But what a game too.
it was just they were skating and puck movement in that second game was so good. You saw Justin Hall coming down the wing, perfect shot pass off the pad to Matthews, and he just taps
Matthews,
it
yeah.
in. Just Carey Price didn't seem like he had the answers for what was going on. He was giving out a lot of rebounds. Even in game three last night, he was giving out a lot of rebounds.
Hmm. Absolutely, yeah. And Justin Hall, man, this guy's been
He's a
just a
beast.
whole other player
He just
this year.
sprawls out with like 6 seconds left for that.
Caulfield
for,
shot.
oh
Or
my god!
was
He
it
just
Caulfield
closed
that
his
shot him?
eyes. He's like, "Please don't hit me in the face."
I think it went off his shoulder, but
Yeah,
man,
thank God it went
what a
off his
late
shoulder.
save.
That wrist shot would have smashed some teeth for sure.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, that was game two was so much fun to watch. As a Leaf fan, that's I've been waiting to see that level of domination in the playoffs with how their roster is constructed. Like I've been dying to see that, and I
Yeah.
finally got to see it. I was so excited last night. Um, you know, it was one of those nights where I thought they did so much complaining to the refs that the Leafs were going to get some weird calls, and they kind of did. Like Kerfoot was boarded twice. He was can opener again. Like for some reason, Kerfoot can't draw a penalty to save his life. Like you could tomahawk him in front of the ref, and just the way he reacts to it,
Hmm.
the ref is like, "Yeah, I don't believe that was a penalty. I don't buy it. Can't draw a penalty to save his life. This poor guy. He's so small. He gets hit around. I feel sorry for him.
Hmm. Yeah, like he hasn't had any, success on getting onto the scoreboard, but he does
He's
some
doing.
pretty good defensive stuff.
Yep.
He's good getting in the corners, taking hits.
Yep. He's
Um,
definitely
he's a good
doing a
depth
lot of the
option.
little things. Yeah, he's doing a lot of the little things that you need at playoff time, and at playoff time, I don't really look at points and goals.
Hmm.
But if your line is producing, like William Nylander's producing, and he's playing with different guys, but it's not like the guys that are stepping into his at the center spot or the wing location on that line, they're not picking up points like crazy. You know what I'm saying? He's putting
Hmm.
them in off of faceoffs and stuff. And it's nice to see him scoring, but like I don't really look at like points. Like it doesn't matter to me if you have 10 points in two games. If the Leafs are winning, that's all that really matters. You're doing all the right things. But like the only real exception to that is Mitch Marner, man. I need so much more from that guy.
Yeah, he's been kind of. Mitch Marner likes to be. He's a patient player with the puck, but sometimes he's always a pass first guy,
Man,
and a lot of
there's
players
been a
know that
couple
he's
of
pass
chances in
first.
these three games where he had the puck on the backhand and he didn't shoot it. And I'm
Yeah,
just screaming. I'm like, shoot.
yeah, and that's
But then he makes that pass to Morgan Riley across the seam from board to board, and then Morgan Riley scores that goal. And you're like, okay, well, that's a nice play, but we can't be paying you $11 million to kill penalties.
mhm,
Like, the Leafs' power penalty kill has been lights out. Right? They got nothing
yeah.
going on the power play, and thank God for that. You need that. That's,
Hmm.
part of the equation in the playoffs is special teams. And I'm glad Mitch Marner's doing a great job there, but you can't be taking $11 million and haven't scored in like 14 playoff games. Like that can't happen. We would never let that slide with any other player, whether it was Nylander, Matthews, Tavares. You would never let that slide. I mean, we traded Kapanen and Johnson for that very reason. We needed them to score against Columbus, and they didn't. So we just dropped those guys. We're like,
Dropped him. Yeah,
yeah, we need to move on. We'll sign some Russians and some European free agents. Maybe they can score. But
that's
yeah,
true.
like it's man, if Marner woke up, the Leafs would dominate Montreal. It's a lot Matthews has to do on his own because they're being very rough with it.
Dude, somebody's got to step up and protect Matthews. Like this guy's getting, and full credit to Matthews. Like this guy's just taking the shots. Like he
Yeah,
doesn't care, man. I love
good
watching
on
him
Matthews. He's doing the
laugh.
right thing. He's like, you know what? I'm gonna keep laughing, and you're gonna get pissed off
Yeah,
because like
and that's
he hits Ben Sherratt, and Ben Sherratt turns around and punches him in the back of the head, and he's like, I'm taking a penalty, so I got to piss him off, and then he just starts laughing, and he's like, oh, that's not
that's how
gonna
it is.
work.
And Matthews is getting under their skin, like just by not doing anything. Right? Like, he's such a good player, man.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's something you definitely haven't seen.
Yeah.
You haven't even come close to seeing any kind of emotion from Matthews in the playoffs. But then all of a sudden, he starts laughing in scrums, and I'm like, where did this come from? I haven't 5 years he's been with this team, and I have no idea where this came from. I don't
He's like
know.
a troll. He's a troll, man.
I know it's like it just something snapped in Matthews, and he's like, "This playoffs, I'm gonna turn into a dick," and I'm like, "Thank God."
That's what you need, man. Honestly.
You need that attitude for sure. Yeah. So the key question tonight becomes, does Foligno come back in? I hope he does. He's going to be well rested. And what are your thoughts on the goaltending situation?
I mean, okay, so we're going into game four, up 2-1 in the series.
Mm-hmm.
Campbell's been the starter for all three,
Yep.
and it's been crazy close game, like game one and game three.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Honestly, I say you play Campbell on the back to back.
Yep.
The fact he's such a hot goaltender
Yep.
that like his save percentage, goals against. Campbell has experience playing against the Habs. So does Freddie, but like just Freddie's not been good recently, and he's coming off that injury. I wouldn't want to risk putting
Yeah. It's
Freddie in
to
to
me.
for Montreal to tie it.
To me, this is it's a soul. It's the sole question here is, does he feel good? Is he healthy? And does his leg feel good? Because he is skipping practices after every start for maintenance days. That's fine. But the thing is, you know, it's definitely going to be his call. Keefe is not going to be like, I don't care what your leg is like, you're going in the net. Keefe would never do that.
No.
So it's obviously the goalie's call. So if they go to the goalie and he pulls a Foligno and Foligno said, hey, listen, if I play tonight, I think I'm going to be a detriment to the team. And, I can play at 80%, but maybe that's not good enough for us to win. So Foligno didn't play last night, but it's up to Campbell. If Campbell can play, then put him in net. Absolutely, 100%. But if he's even a little bit iffy and he says maybe I might hurt myself, but the guy's crashing the net and the intensity and all that stuff that's going on, maybe you start Freddie and then go back to Jack. On the next game. I don't think it's going to hurt the Leafs too much. I don't think I don't think like Freddie's done in the NHL, like he can't play in the NHL
No.
anymore.
No. No. No.
I think in a one game scenario, if the Leafs play well, I'm sure he can make the saves.
Mhm.
It's yeah, it's I hope everyone's healthy and there's a long run for the Leafs, and we're gonna need two goaltenders eventually. So you got to do whatever it takes to protect the guys. And if you got to skip a start, you skip a start, and if he's good to go,
Yeah.
you're good to go. That's all that matters.
Yeah, man. Just looking at the Bruins Capital series, you saw that the team that took the Bruins to game seven every single time, and that same Bruins team
Hey man, we did something
beat Caps
that Capitals
in
couldn't
five
do.
games. We beat the Cap.
That's
They beat the Caps in
right.
five
Yeah,
games.
man. And our
It
defense
was
in those
brutal.
series was not even close to what the Washington Capitals have. And and you think of guys like Freddie Anderson putting up a 9-2-2 against the Bruins, and you know I definitely remember Freddie in some 40 plus save games where he dove across and he made that stick save on Pasternak that one time, and it's you definitely need a lot to go 7 games with the Bruins, and I just expected better from the goaltending. I don't know, rookie goaltenders. It is what it is.
Yeah.
And then
So
you see the
that
Florida
there's
series, 5 goaltenders in that series. Well,
yeah, man. Spencer Knight came in like a knight in shining armor for the Panthers.
yeah, man.
Saved
Whoever
him from
gets the job
elimination.
done, you got to put him in. If it's Spencer Knight, if it's Bobrovsky, if it's
Yeah.
Drieger,
They're gonna keep Knight in for the next what, game five
well,
or
they have to.
six?
They have to at this
Yeah.
point. The guy lets in
I
the
think
first shot of the game and then stops 36 of 37.
yeah. Good on him, man.
Yeah,
I think
it's
Seattle will definitely take one of the Panthers' three goalies. I would think maybe Drieger
well. The thing
because
is, Drieger hasn't played enough games to be exposed in the expansion
really
draft. You don't have to protect him.
interesting. So
So,
then if
so
they
I think the Florida Panthers are going to leave Bobrovsky totally unprotected.
okay. And
And
I don't think they can even take Spencer Knight then
no,
because
they
I don't
can't
think
touch
he's even
Spencer
played.
Knight either. No, they can't
Okay,
touch.
so yeah, looks like they just protect Bobrovsky and keep all three
Well, I
goalies.
don't think they're gonna protect Bobrovsky. I think they want Bobrovsky gone. This guy's making $10 million. He's got a no trade clause for the next 5 years.
Okay, so well, they're gonna have to ask him to waive it, right? Because I'm assuming they would have to protect him if he does
Well, I
get the
mean, I
NTC.
think the best they can ask for is like a 10 or 12 team no trade list, but who's going to take on a $10 million goaltender at this point?
Yeah,
It's a very hard
I'm
it's
sure.
in a flat cap world. It's a very hard situation. Like you would have to involve a couple of teams. Maybe, this guy takes 2.5% of his cap and this guy takes 2.5% of his cap, and
Hmm.
maybe you just retain 4 or 5 million. But
Yeah,
it's a very, I don't know what they're going to do, Florida. it,
man.
it's a very tough position to overpay on, because if you overpay a goaltender and they can lose, goaltenders lose it like that.
Mhm.
Like Binnington comes in, he's a superstar. They win a Stanley Cup this year. He let in 20 goals in 4 games.
Did you see? Did you see? I don't know if you saw, but Philip Grubauer's Instagram. If you look at his most recent Instagram picture,
So
he's like
yeah, there's the picture of him and Binnington.
memories of round one. It's just him and Bennington. Oh, this guy's a
Yeah, I mean,
troll.
like that's the thing, right? So you love Binnington based off of last year, and he got hot. He came in half the year. He got hot. He won a cup. Er, the guy looks like he's talented, and I'm sure he's very talented. But it reminds me a lot of Matt Murray, that situation. Like, can this guy start the season, play 60 games, and then take you on a cup run? Like he didn't have the 60 games. You know, he didn't go into the playoffs with like half a tank of a season. Like his stats were no good at all this season. So it's like, what if this is the norm for Binnington, and he's really not that 935 save percentage, like just saving everything.
Yeah,
Yeah, goalies get hot, and it's like,
they get.
it's one of those things I think about Jack Campbell as well. I'm like, I hope this guy comes back and he does the same stuff next year. But if he doesn't and you don't sign Freddie, and then your option is like Hutchinson,
Or
like,
Riddich.
or Rittich, and I'm just like, oh my god, what's happening right now?
Yeah. No, but the good thing is, if Campbell doesn't work out, which I highly doubt
I think he's
he
got
won't,
one more year at
he is,
1.6 million.
and his contract is amazing. You could trade him at, and Campbell's value is like off the charts right now.
Yeah, it's just one of those
It,
things where like right now a lot of people are like, poo-pooing Freddie Anderson. And I'm
yeah.
like, you know, maybe it's one of those things where you just keep him around just in case. If Jack Campbell does this next year, then he's the real deal, Holyfield, and then you don't need Freddie Anderson anymore. But you have to
Mhm.
have an insurance policy.
Yeah, I think Dubas will try to re-sign Freddie for maybe a short term, like a 1 year, 2 year contract, just to
I'm
see where
hoping
we are
there's like a
at.
1 year $5 million deal in there, because it's like you look at St. Louis and then they trade Jake Allen because Binnington was so good, and then now it's like, man, we wish we had Jake Allen as the backup right now, because it's like
Mhm.
the other guy isn't even an option in St. Louis, and then they got
Who's who's the Blues backup?
you know what, the fact
I
that
don't even
I
know.
can't even come up with
Yeah.
a name tells you a lot about that situation.
Yeah, normally I'm pretty good with it, but I just don't know who the Blues backup
Yeah,
is.
I'm gonna go to rosters St. Louis. I'm gonna be like, somebody has to know. St. Louis, who is their backup? Okay, well, the guy's name is Husso. Husso. I have
Oh,
no idea.
Feel.
That's
Yeah,
exactly no wonder why I
Feel
couldn't pull
Husto.
it. He's from Helsinki, Finland. He's six foot
Yeah.
three, 205.
Phil Huso, I think I heard he did okay in the regular season through the games he was in, but yeah, I wouldn't trust him being like a
In the
fullback.
regular season, this season, he started 17 games. He had a 3.21 goals against and an 893 save percentage.
Okay, okay.
And that's
So
playing
Freddie,
behind the St. Louis defense.
Freddie type numbers. Okay, yeah.
I don't know,
I mean,
man.
man,
People hate on Freddie too much. You know, everybody loves, Campbell's 11-2-1 start, but like Freddie was 13-3-2 to start the season. So like, let's not forget why we're here, man. It's because of Freddie.
yeah,
One guy got us to first place and the other guy kept us in first
kept us
place.
there.
So,
Yep.
you can't hate on either one of those guys. You gotta love the guy for keeping us in there, and you gotta love the guy who got us there.
Yeah. But yeah, so we have game four tonight, 7:30, Leafs versus Habs. What are your predictions? What's the score?
I don't know, man. It's I'm hoping Felino gets back in there, and he has a lot of energy. He sat out last night, and that's gonna help propel that second, because I noticed like that Galchenyuk Felino Nylander line didn't start off the game two very well, but as the game went on, they started producing and they started playmaking a little bit better. And I'm like, all of a sudden, it reminded me of like back in the days when like Sundin didn't have any any wingers and they would throw stuff together onto lines, and all of a sudden, Robert Reichel and Jonas Hoagland, and it worked. It seemed to work, that line in the second period. So in the second game. So I'm really hoping that line comes back in this game and they can be the difference. And it's gonna be tight no matter what. But
And that
3-1.
game, the game. Oh, so you're saying 3-1? Okay. So in game one, I think after Tavares got injured,
Mm-hmm.
they ran with Nylander, Foligno, and Spezza, and that line was great.
Yeah,
I love Spezza up on the second line, man. That's what
Spezza's
I've been
so
saying.
versatile, man. I gotta love that guy.
Spezza, you could put that guy anywhere in your lineup, and he's gonna do great. Like I think Spezza deserves second, like top six. I want him. I want
Yeah,
this guy on the
and
second
it's
line.
one of those things where like I have to give Sheldon Keefe a lot of credit. So before when we first talked before the series started, I said that my trust in him has gone up because what did he do? He put Sandin with Bogosian, right? And Bogosian, by the way, has looked so good in these first three games, and I think it has a lot to do with Sandin, that confidence of somebody being able to take the puck and skate it out. And then all of a sudden, game one happened, and then Keefe said, "Let me inject speed and forecheck it to my lineup." He took Nash out. He put in Galchenyuk. He put in Pierre Engvall. And then what did he do to start that game? He put Simmons with Matthews.
Yeah.
And he's like, I dare Corey Perry to do something. Like, that's a coach who's really into all the aspects and nuances of the game. You know what I'm saying? Like, because
With
Marner was on the bench and then he hopped on and then he did that double shift with Matthews. And it just, the momentum just started from there.
So that's another thing is Babcock never did like line matching at all. Like this guy just like, okay, no, this our line, this our line, that's it. Like
Yeah,
nothing else.
and it goes way beyond line matching too, because Keefe says, I'm gonna roll four lines and I'm not gonna try to protect anybody. Like I don't have to protect Matthews from Dano. I don't have to protect Nylander from Kotkaniemi. Like all my guys are gonna beat their guys. So I'm gonna roll four lines and I'm gonna let our team be like this team that rolls four lines, is well rested in the second round and the third round. I can't go like like the Edmonton Oilers played like Darnell Nurse like 47 minutes last night. Did you see that?
Yeah, I think Nurse played like 62 minutes
Yeah, it was
because it went to like
ridiculous. Once
triple
they
overtime.
benched that third pairing defense, Cuckoo and whatever his name was,
He
it's
was
just
on for like 15 of the 20 minutes that one overtime. Like, bro, this guy's nuts.
yeah, like I never want to see Keefe do something like that because it might work for that game and you might win that game, even though Edmonton didn't win that game and they got swept.
Hmm.
Even if it works, the guy is going to be on an IV in the hotel room. It's just going to be like this, and they're just going to be like intravenously putting fluid into his body because how do
Hmm.
you recover from a night like that? It's like he ran a
Yeah,
marathon. They
and I
have
think
they
with
You know how they have the
Like
advanced
this.
analytics where they tell you how many kilometers you skated?
Mhm.
It was like through the roof. Like this guy ran a marathon on skates.
Like, and then they were also on a second half of a back to back. So,
Exactly.
bro,
Just
man,
talk
that's
about
crazy.
running people into the ground. But you know,
Yeah,
I don't know what I don't know what
but
Edmonton's gonna do. Edmonton's gonna be like, are they gonna bring back Mike Smith? Probably not. They got
and then
Koskinen.
Koskinen, I don't think you could rely on Koskinen alone.
Us,
You need
yeah. So,
somebody.
I mean, they tried to sign Markstrom, and Markstrom went to Calgary. So now, what are you gonna do in the off season? Apparently, they got some money to spend this year, so
Mhm.
they got a
Yeah,
lot of free agents in Edmonton. I feel bad for. I keep
McDavid.
going back to that McDavid face he made in the lottery draft when they said Edmonton won. I keep going back to that
I
face every time something bad happens in Edmonton. I go back to that poor face. And he's like, I was one ping pong ball away from going to Toronto.
Man,
Legit, man.
imagine if the Leafs got the first overall
Listen,
in the
man.
year that McDavid
Literally, we were
was.
one number away.
Yeah.
When they were picking that last ball, the Leafs had 8 different combinations, 8 different numbers that they could have got McDavid, and they
Hmm.
didn't. But we got Matthews, so
Yeah. Still one of the best first line, or what do you call it? First overalls in the
yeah, man,
recent
absolutely.
recent years.
It's one of those
Like,
things where you look at Edmonton overall, and you really have to look at their drafting because the Leafs, even though they didn't have first overall, they got a Nylander at 9, and they got a Riley at 5, and they got a Marner. You know, they got a lot of good picks. A lot of players turned out to be legitimate NHLers, and you look at Eberle in New York and Taylor Hall in Boston, and of all the players, Ryan Nugent Hopkins is there, and is he a superstar worth $6 million? I don't know.
I mean, Nugent Hub, like RNH, he's just such a quiet player, but he does like yesterday he had a crazy goal. Um,
Yeah,
but man, I think he doesn't get enough credit, but just because he has McDavid and Draisaitl on his team. But no, I think he is worth a $6 million price tag. But
mm.
that's what it is. You play in a hockey market with
You
the
know the
best player in
fun
the
the
world.
funny thing is, they start. I watched I went on YouTube and they were streaming the post game for the Edmonton Oilers.
Hmm.
And legitimately, people turned on Connor McDavid, which is a super sad thing to see.
It's not
And
McDavid's fault. Come on.
exactly. But at the end of the day, they were like, he's getting paid $12.5 million. He's part of the problem. When you take that much of the cap, the Leafs got 4 guys making $40 million. That is paying your superstars is not why you don't have success. It's when you have too many overpaid guys, in the middle of your lineup. The Leafs only have between the 700, $800,000 players into the $12 million players. The only guy in the middle is Kerfoot is at
Perfect.
$3.5 million, and that's how you
That's
kind of
it.
reallocate your money that way. I mean, we did
Yeah.
spend a lot on defense. Morgan Riley's at 5, and TJ Brody's at 4.5, and Muzzin's at 5, and we did spend a lot of money on defense too. We had to reallocate kind of that money,
Hmm.
but it's like paying your superstars is not why you're not winning games. It's is how much is Cassian making, and how much is this guy making and that guy making. It's
Yeah.
you gotta go out and get some really good players. Like Taylor Hall would have looked good in that lineup for a second round pick at the trade deadline. Taylor Hall would have looked really good, but you couldn't fit in the $7 million cap hit.
Yeah. That's how it goes.
It's one of those
Yeah.
things. Like you go on Cap Geek sometimes, and you look at the Buffalo Sabres are capped out. Like, who'd you spend the money on?
Skinner. Skinner.
It's like you got Taylor Hall at
Man,
7 and Skinner at 8, and this guy's making 9, that guy's 10, and this guy's 5, and that guy's 6, and I'm like, wow, how?
I feel bad
Why?
for I feel bad for Sabres fans, man. That franchise is just brutal. Like you got some good players, but your management is horrible. Like
They got like
what are you
3 or
guys
4
doing?
years of hashing. It's okay.
Like Eichel feels, dude. Eichel's gonna get. He's borderline gonna get traded because he's not gonna. They're not letting him
Well,
get the
it's
surgery.
if Eichel asks for a trade out, does that make it okay for like McDavid to ask for a trade out?
Absolutely, yeah. Like if your team is like not doing anything to kind of help you towards a Stanley Cup or build a good team around you, you have all the right to ask for a trade, and it doesn't make you a bad player.
I wonder
It
how
just
many
makes you a
teams
good
in
person.
like a flat cap world could make a $12.5 million cap trade happen.
I I don't even know. Like,
I don't know. I don't even
Rain.
know where you would even start. It's like you would have to start with a couple of like $5-6 million players and then add prospects and picks to that. Like,
Yeah, for sure. There would definitely like be easily like a couple first rounders and some huge prospects and maybe a cap dump contract. Like the Rangers are, people are saying they're the front runners for Eichel, but I'm like, dude, Rangers have like Panarin, Sabanajad,
well, they
like
need a
some.
legitimate center because can Zibanejad be like a long-term first line center? I don't know.
Honestly, I think so because Sabanajad is like one of the most underrated centers like in the
Yes,
league. Like this guy
absolutely,
scores.
absolutely.
This guy can
I would
score.
trade like Mikheyev and Kerfoot straight up right now for
Oh, okay.
Zibanejad.
Well, I don't think the Rangers would do that, but
I
you
know
know what
they
I mean. Like
wouldn't. I wish.
Sabanajad's just one of those underrated players. Like there's not a lot of coverage on Zibanejad. Like you see the type of goals he
Yeah.
puts in, and he makes some really smart plays.
When it comes to his playmaking, it's because his playmaking is so off the charts.
Mhm.
It's just like it opens up for him to shoot and score, and it's like
Yeah,
so good. I mean, I love the guy. His dad is Persian, and it makes me feel good when I say his name all the time.
yeah.
Zibanejad. I'm like, I love that guy. Who cares if his mom is Swedish?
And he's got the flow going.
And he's got.
You can't hate that.
As soon as my dad saw him for the first time, he's like, that guy looks Persian. I'm like, Dad, his name is Zibanejad, and he's
Okay,
like,
I told you.
my dad picked it up on which player was it in baseball? Yu Darvish.
Hmm.
My dad's like, Yu Darvish, that guy's Persian. I'm like, Dad, he's coming over from like Japan or China or something. He's like,
Hmm.
no. His last name is Darvish. For sure he's Persian. I go to Google this guy and it turns out his dad is Persian. I'm like, how did you
Yeah,
know that?
you can tell by the last name.
I'm
That's how
like,
it is.
but it's Darvish is like it's a very iffy. It is a Persian name, but there are people named Darvish that are not Persian. It's one of those weird names. I'm like, I don't know how you picked that up. This guy doesn't have like when you look at him, he doesn't have like a Persian thing on it. Like his hair is short and it's all like he doesn't have anything about him that's Persian. It's not like like Mika Zibanejad is like he looks Persian. If I walking down the street and I saw him, I'd be like, yeah, that guy's Persian.
Yeah,
But yeah,
my
it's
my
funny.
dad did my dad did something similar. He was telling me like back when the Canucks were in the playoffs
Mm-hmm.
against Boston.
Yeah.
I think Manny Malhotra was on the team too.
Mm-hmm.
Was he on the team? I don't know. But he's like he heard the name Malhotra. He's like, oh, that guy's Indian. And I'm like, nah, bro, he's not. Like, look at him. He's like, no, 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 trust me, he is. So I go online and I look up his history and the same thing. Like, I think it was his mom
Yeah.
or dad that was. He's like
It's one of
Indian.
those
Like,
things where I looked at
it's
him
the
and I'm
last
like
name.
Malhotra. Like, where does that name even come from? I thought about it. I never really looked it up to confirm it, but I always thought
Yeah.
there was a prospect the New York Islanders played one time. His last name was Rakshani,
Yeah.
and I'm
That's
like,
that's.
and I looked at my dad. I go, Dad, he's not Persian, and he goes, No, man, his name is Rakshani. I know it. I know it. I had to go look it up, and it turns out he's Persian as well. I'm like, where are these Iranian guys coming out into the NHL? I'm like, this can't be
Yeah.
good for nobody. These guys lose their temper, they're gonna hurt somebody.
Yeah. So anyway, let's talk about tonight's game. So for
Yes.
the Leafs, our first line we got Hyman, Matthews, Marner. That's not changing.
Mm-hmm.
Line two, we got Galchenyuk so far, Kerfoot and Nylander.
So this is
Kerfoot
off
will
a
be
the
centering.
daily face-off.
Yep.
Okay.
And then line three, we got the Engvall, Mikheyev, Simmons with Engvall centering.
Mm.
And then line four, we got Thornton, Nash, and Spezza, the old man line. So you expect to see some changes throughout the game. I doubt these lines stay the same.
Yeah, I heard
Keith loves
that
doing that.
Sheldon Keefe is not going to let anything out till 5 o'clock in terms of Nick Foligno and the goalie situation. So, what time is it now? It's 3:30.
3:30 out.
Yeah, so
So, I mean, I I could see Foligno hopping into that second line and then Kerfoot shifting down, or maybe even Galchenyuk.
yeah, I think
I
Nick Foligno hopping in there and Nash hopping out would be good.
Yeah, exactly. I would love to see Foligno centering that Galchenyuk Nylander line, and then
Mm-hmm.
Kerfoot maybe moving down into where Simmons is, and
Yeah.
then Simmons shift down to the fourth line.
Yeah, I
Oh
think
man,
when the Leafs tried Spezza as the fourth line center between Simmons and Thornton, it didn't look too bad at times.
hmm but how good was that Mikheyev Engvall Hyman line? I would love to see that too. If we can switch Hyman in for Simmons and Simmons on the first for a bit. Keith likes to do that, so
Yeah, that
pretty cool.
that when you put Mikheyev with Ingval, because they skate like freight trains, when they forecheck, not only can you hear it, but it's like they do it at a very smart level. I mean, like, the Leafs have slowly learned that when they dump in the puck, they got to keep it away from Carey Price, because Carey Price every single time will come around back of the net, make a beautiful play, pass it out, and then it totally negates the forecheck. So now that they've learned how to keep the puck away from Price a little bit, their forecheck has become better. And that Mikheyev Ingval combination, even if you kind of switch um Foligno to like a winger on that line, it would even make the forechecking better. I mean, at the end of
Yeah.
the day, you need a checking line, but with Galchenyuk and I mean Galchenyuk and Nylander yesterday, their forecheck was really good. Nylander on a couple of times stripped the puck, went behind the net, and then all of a sudden Galchenyuk was in there, and they really wreaked some havoc. They need a center on that line that can make a couple of plays and maybe shoot the puck into the net. I mean, that's why Tavares was so good with that Nylander Galchenyuk combination. But you know, hopefully they win it for JT, and we
Yeah,
keep playing long enough. Maybe he comes back.
dude, I think that's what everyone's trying to do.
Um,
It's just for
I'm
JT.
glad that they're rallying around it and they're finding a way to gain some emotion from it. My wife works with a guy who knows Tavares, and he
hmm
texted with him after the game the next day, after he got released from the hospital, and he said, I'm good, but I'm not going to be
hmm
playing again this season.
Oh,
He
okay.
said that in the text message to him, and
Oh.
everybody knows that, like, they talk to my wife because I'm such a crazy Leaf fan. They're
hmm
always asking her questions about like what we're doing in the backyard and stuff like that. And so
Yeah.
she sent me the text. He screenshotted and sent it to me, and I was like, I didn't expect Tavares to play again this season. But
Oh.
whatever the boys can use to energy and get a rally around, and you never know, maybe he might play again.
hmm
Just the fact that he suffered a knee injury as well as the concussion, it's like it's even compounded the situation.
Yeah. Yeah. Honestly, I even if I thought, John Tavares gets healthy in the later half of this playoffs,
I
I
mean,
probably wouldn't want to see him in the game just because I don't want to risk him getting even
yeah, I
more
mean, he's been
injured.
out for so long and the intensity is so crazy in the playoffs. I mean, for him
Yeah.
to just step in there and not skating much, I don't
hmm
know how much like legs he would have, but it would be dangerous for him to come back into like the third round.
Yeah. It's a scary situation. So
Although it really
it's
it
it's
kind of worked for Stamkos last year, remember?
Yeah, came in
But
for that one game,
and then he scored
scored,
that.
and then left. He scored, got injured,
He
and
did like a stick
left.
drop. He's like, I'm just gonna score a goal and I'm gonna leave.
Yeah, no, it's
But like Tampa Bay got so much emotion and like, confidence and momentum from that. Like, maybe JD could do that for one game. Maybe a
hmm
couple of shifts in the first. That's it.
play
Score a
like
goal,
one
leave.
game,
Score a
like
power play goal,
two
leave.
minutes, and then leave. Yeah,
So what are
yeah,
your
that's
score predictions for tonight? I'm thinking
oh,
it's going to
that's
be like
tough.
3-1.
If Campbell's in net,
Mm-hmm.
I would say it'd be like I honestly agree. Like 3-1. I think it might even be uh
Another 2-1 game.
yeah, either 2-1 or 2-0. Like these goalies have been so good, we might even see a shutout tonight. So I would say I'm gonna say safe bet 2-1 Leafs
Okay.
again. But
Okay.
yeah, no, it's gonna be a close game
It's one
just
of
because
those
they're
things
so
where like
tired.
every time Carey Price and Anderson play each other, it's always high scoring.
Yeah,
It's like the Florida Panthers Tampa Bay series. No matter who's in net, Vasilevsky, he's given up a lot of weak goals in the playoffs too. I don't know what happened. Like this guy was flying into the playoffs,
hmm yeah, that's what goalies are.
but it's
You
like
just gotta try get the most consistent one.
for sure
Yeah. So that's our predictions for game four,
we're
Leafs
gonna go
versus
up three
Habs.
one. Hopefully, so it looks like we're gonna see game
Yeah.
six. We're gonna see
Let's
some
hope.
fans in the building. Let's hope
Hey,
the Leafs finish it before it gets to game six.
yeah, I was gonna say the same thing. Let's hope it doesn't even go to game six. Let's go Leafs in five.
I'm
Let's
hoping
get it.
some rich Torontonians like contact the Habs and they're like, listen, whatever the ticket prices are, we'll double it. Get us in the stadium. And it's like or it's just like 2,500 like Montreal Canadiens and just like two guys with Leafs jerseys just going woo just to screw
Spending
up the
like
whole mood in the stadium.
$30,000 on tickets or something.
I'm like if you could guess what the scalper market for 2,500 tickets is,
Oh my god, dude, I don't
like
even know.
imagine if you were the scalper that had two out of the 2,500. What would you be selling it at?
At least 10 grand, bro. Like, dude, you
I
could pretty
remember
much sit
Raptors tickets in the
anywhere.
playoffs were like 10 grand.
Yeah, dude,
My
I would
wife's boss
start
has
at
the
10 grand.
season ticket, so like, he paid for the entire playoffs 20,000,
Yeah.
and you know, we ended up getting some tickets because she's the executive assistant. But like, man, I was like, maybe we don't go to the game. Maybe we just go down to Young Street and then we just scalp these tickets.
Scalp them. Make a little bit of a
I'm like, you
profit.
know how many months of my mortgage I would pay off?
Yeah.
I'm like, maybe it's not worth going to the game sometimes.
Yeah.
But we're crazy like that. We drove down to like Cleveland to watch the Raptors play LeBron once.
Oh, nice.
Man, it's dirt cheap down there, man. Me,
hmm
I got two tickets at $80 American a piece.
That's really good.
It's dirt cheap. I miss
hmm
I miss having like the Sabres get eliminated and then buying tickets off of like Sabres season ticket holders for like $80, $90 and going down sitting like 5 rows behind the glass and just watching the Leafs just mop the floor with these guys.
Pretty much. That's how it is. Like,
My wife keeps
Leafs.
telling me, she's like, I miss those times we used to drive down to Buffalo. She'd get her like, outlet shopping done and I get to watch a hockey game. It was fun for both of us.
And it's so fun to think that if the Leafs go on an away game to like Ottawa or Sabres, like it's another home game. Like
Oh
Leafs have
yeah.
like three or four homes.
It's just so
So
many Leaf fans and we're all over the place. Like
we're everywhere. We're even in Vancouver, there's a surprising amount.
what
Like,
everywhere in
yeah,
Canada really, like the major cities. I know like, just people in the States I know that have moved down from Toronto that are always in the States that live down there in the States. So I know so many people in California and Arizona and like I'm like, how much is it for you guys to go to a game? The only place that's really expensive in the States is Vegas.
Yeah.
Like I was in Vegas for Babcock's last game where Marc-Andre Fleury made that crazy glove save
Crazy
flying through
save.
the air.
Oh,
I
you
was
were
at
at
I
that
was at
game.
that game, yeah.
Damn.
I was like he was one diving glove save away from not getting fired. Because they would have won that game.
And we were on a crazy losing streak then too, right? Like I don't remember how much it was, but like 5 or 6 games.
Yeah.
Man, good times or bad times.
Well, it's
Anyway,
for Leaf fans, it's just times.
it's just time. That's just normal times, That's all. Bad times is
Losing
normal
is
times.
nothing new for us. We've been
Yeah.
through it.
So
I,
you know,
I feel like Leaf
it's in
fans,
our
I
system.
feel took a little bit. They were enjoying the 4-1 collapse from Edmonton a little too much on Twitter. And they're like, I know we've been taking it for years and you're just ready to dish it out. The Leaf
Yeah.
fans were just waiting for someone to blow a 4-1 lead in the playoffs so we could just hammer whoever it is. I'm like, I'm not going to say nothing. I,
Yeah, I don't like jinxing myself,
I
so
don't I don't like hearing it and I don't like being chirped about it. So I'm like, why would I do it to somebody else? But Edmonton
Mhm.
fans, man, they turned on McDavid up so fast. I feel sorry for
Yeah,
that guy. It's going to be a bad summer.
it's not even McDavid's fault, but man, it's the
Well,
team.
it's definitely not a one. Hockey is not like a
It's a
basketball
team.
or a
It's a
football
team
where like
sport.
one guy can do anything. It's but at the end of the day, like in the regular season, a lot of people were saying like this guy racked up a lot of points against bad teams, and it's not indicative of how the playoffs are going to go. I know he scored 105 points in 56 games, but that's not how the playoffs are going to go, and you need to take it to a whole other level. I don't even believe that there is a level above 105 points in 56 games, but apparently there
Yeah,
is another level,
there is
and
a little amount,
there's
but
a
that's
there's
it.
a yeah there's Matthews laughing in Shea Weber's face level. You need to get to that.
That's it. That's all you need.
But
Anyway,
man, every time
so
every time Matthews gets his helmet ripped off, I'm like, man, that guy's losing his hair. You notice
dude,
the bald spots? Poor
he's
guy.
his forehead's just get increasing every year.
I think he's gonna do an Ally Afraidy. You remember Ally Afraidy? Where
Mhm.
he had the full hair, but he had just the circle, and
The
he would just be
circle.
flying with no helmet on in games. Google Ally Afraidy, you'll laugh so hard. I think Matthews is gonna pull an Ally Afraidy. It's the monkey bump, the monkey bum.
I think Felino has a little bit of that going on too.
Yeah, he
He
does.
has
That's why
like
he shaved
short
his head.
hair.
He's like, I buzzed it as short as I can go, so it doesn't look so bad. Because he's like, what am I supposed to
Mhm.
do with three hairs on the top of my head?
Yeah.
All right,
Anyway,
man.
so we got game 4 tonight. Let's hope Leafs pull up on the series 3-1, and continue on rolling towards the Jets.
Yeah, man. But do you think that the Jets were like now that you've seen the Jets sweep the Edmonton Oilers, do you think the Leafs are scared of Winnipeg?
Uh, I am a little bit now because of the fact that we lost Tavares, and Jets have such a crazy top 6
Yeah.
lineup. It's nuts. They have Dubois, Shifley, Ehlers, Wheeler,
Yeah, I mean they
uh,
have legitimate scores. Montreal doesn't really have
Kyle
any of that.
Connor.
Yeah.
Yeah, then they have Kyle Connor. Like, where does it stop? Like, they have crazy offense. Like, and we're gonna need to be really good against them.
Yeah, I mean it's really going to come down to how good the Leafs defense is going to be against those guys cuz it's like, Ehlers missed the first two games and then he comes back into the game and I'm like, "But why is he wide open?"
Hmm.
Like you have to, at some point, or like let's say the Winnipeg Jets, they're on top of McDavid, two guys. They leave his winger open because it's like he's gonna have to dish the puck, and we're okay with that guy being wide open because he has 9 goals this season, right? You got to pick your poison, and whoever it is, we're just glad it's not Draisaitl or McDavid. But other teams like Edmonton, they see Ehlers out there and they're like, we can either stand in front of him on the power play or we can leave him wide open. And they leave him wide open and he scores in overtime and he does this. And I don't know, man. I don't know if it's coaching. I don't know. I don't know if it's the defense.
I mean, I just think the players are too good.
Yeah.
Sometimes
I
you just
mean,
can't stop good players.
and Hellebuck has looked good.
Yeah, this Hellebuyck's just like he's scary good right now. So let's
Yeah,
hope
I
we can
mean,
put some past them.
if we can beat Carey Price in 5, we could beat Hellebuck in 5.
And I think the Leafs should be good, man. If we
We can
somehow pull
score.
a miracle, we can score. Yeah,
All
yeah.
right. I got
That's the
positive
series.
vibes. We're gonna do it.
Let's go. Big win tonight.
Big win
Let's get
tonight,
it.
and they've confirmed the next game, right, for Thursday?
Yeah, I believe Thursday is game
Let me check on my
5.
Toronto Maple Leafs
Yeah,
app and see what their official schedule looks like.
I think that's 7 o'clock. Game 5 of Thursday.
Yes, Thursday, 7 o'clock. So it looks like it's gonna be another Thursday Saturday situation.
Yep. At
Interesting.
least that's not a back to back.
Yeah,
So
there's just something about Thursday, Saturday Leaf games that it feels right.
hmm
It's always Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. I live by that routine.
yeah. Whatever happens, man, I'm not going into game 7 Leafs versus Habs. I don't want to see that again. Please. Just finish the series off.
Yeah, I really don't. I don't see a 7 game series. I think if the Leafs are gonna collapse, it's not gonna go to 7, and if the Leafs keep doing what they're doing, it's not gonna go to 7. So either way, I really don't see like a 7 game series. But yeah, I'm not watching that games. I'm nervous enough watching game 2 when the Leafs are up 4-1.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All
it's one
right.
of those
So if you
situations.
guys leave your predictions on the score, what do you think it's going to
Absolutely.
be tonight?
You guys let us know what the score is gonna be tonight. Who's gonna be the scorers? Who's gonna score first for the Leafs? Who's that first game? Didn't I pick Nylander? And then I even put on. I bought his reverse retro jersey and I put it on. And my friend's like, "We're watching it in your backyard. No one's here." My neighbor, and he's like, "Why are you wearing the jersey?" I'm like, "If I wear it, he will
He
score."
score. Facts. Dude, the
Facts.
Swedish king came to play. Gotta get another
What
jersey.
I love is like halfway through the second period, his hair is not even wet. Like this guy hasn't even broken a sweat yet, and he already has like 5 shots on net. He has got 2 takeaways. He's played 15 minutes, and I'm like, this guy is not normal.
hmm
Like I'm like, why is his hair always dry? Doesn't it bother you? If I was the guy sitting next to him on the bench, I would squirt him with the water bottle just to make his hair wet. I'd be like, guy, it
I mean,
doesn't
hey,
look right. Doesn't look like you're playing hard. Let me make it wet.
if he can score, if he keeps it up, man, his hair can be dry, wet, whatever. Paint it
No,
blue.
it's
Do whatever you
always
want, man.
dry. I'm like, does this guy just not sweat? Does he have like 0% body fat? I don't know how it
I don't know.
works.
Yeah, dude, Nylander is like ripped, bro. So I wouldn't put it
He
past him.
is, man. He is crazy ripped. I'm like,
Yeah.
in between periods, when you go take off your gear and like you jump in, some guys jump into like a cold bath, or some people, just like, whatever, they go to the bathroom, whatever it is. I'm like, do you do nothing that wets your hair? This guy puts on like one of those like bath, those like little like, shower caps, and
hmm
like just keeps his hair dry at
Keeps it
all
dry.
times.
Yeah.
It's the one phenomenon I never understood. Why is his hair always dry? Third period, it's still dry.
He dries it on the
It
bench,
doesn't
man.
make any sense, man. No, I swear to God, pay attention. Watch. Once you pay attention in
I'll look
game,
out for
in
it.
the third period, his hair is still dry. It doesn't make any sense because he's like squirting water in his mouth and on his face, but like his hair is never wet.
All right, I'll keep an eye out for
I don't
that.
know if he's
Let's
standing
see.
beside those glove dryers. Those things that you put your gloves on and then they
Yeah, the
dry. I think
heaters.
he
Yeah.
sticks his head in there and it just.
No. Oh, he just has a hair dryer
The
in
man
the
is an anomaly, and I want to know
in the room.
everything about him.
Yeah. Yeah, I got goals coming from Nylander and Matthews today. That's some big goals.
Yes.
2-1.
I think you know what? I think Matthews and Marner are gonna step up tonight. I have all the faith in the world in this Marner kid,
hmm
and he's gonna make a play. He's gonna deke somebody out. He's gonna go like inside, outside, dingle dangle, and then he's gonna go. You know, he's gonna go top corner. He's gonna do
Sounds good.
something. He's gonna do something nice. I know it. I know it. And he has to. He has to. It's $11 million, man. He has to.
Yeah, he will. I believe in Marner. Let's go.
We believe in the
Yeah.
boys. All right.
All right, guys.
Okay. Thanks, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. And we'll see you guys Thursday or Friday, maybe.